You know, as much as I do love my traditional Marvel shirt, this is Avengers Infinity War I'm talking about here. This deserves something new and special. So, let's get to it. I don't know if you can really see the shirt through my camera frame, but it's pretty cool. Avengers Infinity War is the third movie in the Avengers series of Marvel movies and the 19th overall film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I speak for myself, and I would say most Marvel and movie fans when I say that this was the most anticipated movie of this year and one of the most anticipated movies of this decade. I mean, one could argue this is a movie you've been looking forward to since the end credits scene of the first Iron Man movie. I mean, most of us didn't really learn about Thanos until the post-credits scene in the first Avengers movie, but if you're a die-hard Marvel fan that really knows your stuff about the Avengers, then yeah, you've been looking forward to this movie since the post-credits scene of the first Iron Man. And now this cinematic extravaganza is finally here. I personally saw this movie about a week ago. I've actually seen it twice now. But I think I have given everyone plenty of time to see this movie. So you know what that means. It's time to spoil it up. So yeah, if you haven't seen Avengers Infinity War and you watch my video any further, if anything gets ruined for you, it's officially on you. What I really love about the very first scene in this movie is it immediately shows how much of a force Thanos is. This guy's a fucking beast. I mean, the opening scene essentially takes place probably a few minutes after the mid-credit scene in Thor Ragnarok. And what you see is, I want to say, every Asgardian dead. Heimdall is on the floor dying, and Thor looks like he just got the shit beat out of him. Yeah, Thanos and his henchmen, they came in and they just literally killed pretty much everybody. Thanos, however, knows Loki still has the Tesseract, so he tells Loki, give me the Tesseract. And Loki's like, well, I'm not gonna do that. You may have this power, but we have a Hulk. And you know, the Hulk shows up and he fights with Thanos, but this right here was the moment that really blew my mind and really just honestly shocked me with Thanos and seeing how powerful he was. Hulk's able to land a few good punches here and there, but ultimately the fight goes on and Thanos eventually just completely manhandles the Hulk. The Hulk! We really haven't seen the Hulk really fight anyone that's of his equal since the Abomination in the Incredible Hulk movie from way back in the day. And really, that was still a fight. This really wasn't a fight. Thanos beat the shit out of the Hulk. I was just thinking, like, he just did that. With really no Infinity Stones? He just did that on his own with his own power? I don't know how they're going to beat this guy. Thanos is able to get Loki to hand over the Tesseract to him. He crushes it. He adds the Space Stone to the Infinity Gauntlet. He already got the Power Stone from Xandar from earlier before this movie. So now he's got 2 Infinity Stones in his gauntlet, and Loki's now thinking, alright, I'm going to have to strike this guy somehow, some way. Otherwise, the whole universe is gonna die. So, you know, Loki's doing his, crafty little talking, saying it's like, oh, I'm gonna pledge my loyalty to you, Thanos. All the while, he just makes a knife appear out of nowhere, tries to go to stab Thanos with it, but Thanos, he stops him. And with that, he grabs Loki and just chokes him to death right in front of Thor. I saw that scene happen, I'm just like, shit, I don't think this is gonna be some Thor the Dark World shit. I think Loki's actually dead now. And you have Heimdall in his final act uses the last of his power to summon the Bifrost to send Hulk to Earth. Then right after that happens, Thanos has Heimdall killed. He destroys Thor's ship. Thor's the only survivor left to, just float in space. So right there in the opening scene, Thanos has killed Loki, Heimdall, and essentially the rest of Asgard. Everyone who survived in Thor Ragnarok, my guess is they're all dead. That is how you fucking introduce the villain to the movie. So yeah, Hulk has now arrived on Earth. He's turned back into Bruce Banner, and he tells Doctor Strange it's like Thanos is coming. So Doctor Strange goes out, he recruits Tony Stark. And at this point, Doctor Strange and Wanda, they really break down the mythology of the Infinity Stones. They talk about how they were created during the Big Bang, and they each possess their own essentially power of the cosmos, if I'm putting it the correct way. But anyways, there are 6 of them. The Space Stone, the Reality Stone, the Power Stone, the Mind Stone, the Time Stone, and the Soul Stone. And Bruce brings up, Thanos already has 2 stones. If he gets all 6, he can eliminate half of the life in the universe with a snap of his fingers. At this point, the group knows that they have 2 of the stones here on Earth. There's the Time Stone with Doctor Strange, and there's the Mind Stone that's in Vision's forehead. So they know Thanos is eventually eventually going to make his way to Earth. They're trying to figure out, alright, can we use these stones against him? Or better yet, can we destroy them? So essentially, the Infinity Gauntlet can never be completed. You know, Thanos will never be able to eliminate the lives that he can. Doctor Strange, however, can't destroy the Time Stone because it's his duty to protect that. They're thinking, alright, we gotta go out and get Vision. We gotta make sure he's protected, that, you know, no one's gonna get to him. But I do love in this moment, you really do see that Bruce has been gone for a very long time now, because he brings up to Tony, it's like, Tony, let's call Steve Rogers. Let's get everyone together. Let's, you know, let's form the team back together. And, you know, Tony brings up to Bruce, it's like, yeah, that's a little easier said than done, because while you were gone, the Avengers kind of split in half, and we all kind of sort of tried to kill each other. But yeah, soon enough, Thanos' henchmen, they track Doctor Strange down in New York City. They know he has the Time Stone. So yeah, now we got a big fight between Thanos' henchmen and Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man, who eventually joins the fight. I mean, Bruce Banner tries to contribute. He tries to transform into the Hulk, but for whatever reason, the Hulk won't come out to, you know, fight. This happens throughout the movie. For whatever reason, Bruce now can't bring the Hulk out of him. It's peculiar. I will definitely be interested to see how that plays out later on in the MCU. But anyways, one of Thanos' henchmen, he tries to take the stone from the Eye of Agamotto, but he can't do that because Doctor Strange put a spell lock on it. So the henchman's just like, alright, you know what? I'll just take you with me. I'm gonna bring you on our ship, and we're gonna find a way to get that out of you. So Doctor Strange gets abducted onto the ship, while Iron Man and Spider-Man, who's just been given that Iron Spidey suit that we saw at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming that was fucking awesome. And yeah, that suit really is fucking awesome. I'm gonna say that right now. I liked it. But yeah, the two of them, they're now on the ship going after Doctor Strange. So with that, Hulk's now left on Earth, and he's thinking, alright, I gotta try to do something here. Then the movie flashes over to Vision and Scarlet Witch. We discover that they're now a couple. They've been kind of living on their own in solitude, just, you know, see if this relationship between them could work. I really like seeing the chemistry between them. I mean, obviously we caught hints that a romance might be blooming in Civil War, and yeah, here it has finally bloomed. And I bought it. But yeah, now the henchmen have come for Vision. They're prepared to extract the Mind Stone out of his head. And yeah, Vision and Scarlet Witch are doing everything they can to survive these motherfuckers. And I'm gonna say this right now, Scarlet Witch, if it wasn't established that she's a badass, it's further established here. I mean, essentially it reaches a point after one of the henchmen just essentially stabs a scepter into Vision's forehead. It's weakened him. He can't really fight as best as he can. It's essentially Scarlet Witch against the henchmen, and she's actually holding her own. Seeing what they just did to the other Avengers 5 minutes ago, that's impressive. Luckily for the two of them, however, they are eventually saved by Black Widow, Falcon, and Captain America. I really liked seeing Captain America with a beard. I really thought he rocked it. So yeah, the three of them bring the two of them back to the Avengers facility, where they all meet up with War Machine and also Bruce Banner. At this point, Bruce Banner's kind of filled in everybody about what's going on, and they all agree. It's like, alright, we have to find a way to destroy the stone. Vision has opted to sacrifice himself. He's like, you know what, if you have to kill me to destroy the stone, so be it. This is for the sake of the universe. But Bruce Banner points out, he's like, Vision is a more complex being than just that stone. Maybe there's a way to remove the stone without essentially killing Vision. And Steve Rogers is like, there's only one place we can go that might be able to pull that off. We gotta go to Wakanda. But yeah, from here, we don't really get to Wakanda until the very end of the movie, so I'll save that for later. Let's get to the Guardians of the Galaxy. The crew's just flying in space where they come across Thor, they bring him on board. I'm gonna say this right here is where the comedy really hits home in the movie. Because essentially here, you got the heroes that make the best comedy. I mean, you have the Guardians of the Galaxy, and yeah, you essentially have Thor, because Thor Ragnarok ended up being really funny. So I guess he's a comedy superhero now. But yeah, after all the jokes are set aside, you know, Thor explains to them what's going on. You know, he's like, yeah, Thanos has already got the Power Stone and the Space Stone. The Mind Stone and Time Stone, they're safe on Earth. Nobody knows where the Soul Stone is, so Thanos is going to go get the Reality Stone next from the Collector. Thor, however, knows if he's going to take on Thanos, he needs a little bit more than what he has right now, which is, you know, nothing, since he lost, you know, his brother, his friends, his ship, all of his people. They establish it later on in the movie, but Thor really has lost everything at this point. Poor fucker. So yeah, Thor, Groot, and Rocket, they leave to go meet with this dwarf named Eitri, who Thor feels can craft him a weapon to fight Thanos with. While Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis, they go to nowhere to stop Thanos from getting the Reality Stone. But it's at this point Gamora reveals to Quill that, you know, she does in fact know information that Thanos doesn't regarding the Infinity Stones, and she tells Quill, she's like, if at any point Thanos gets me, you have to kill me. And sure enough, the Guardians, they get to nowhere, and they see anyway, Thanos interrogating the Collector, you know, trying to figure out where the stone is. At one point, Gamora is able to whip out one of her swords, and she stabs Thanos, and at first, you're thinking, and Peter Quill's thinking, that was surprisingly very easy. But very quickly you find out that Thanos has already gotten the Reality Stone, and what they're seeing right now is an altered reality that Thanos is making with that stone. But that he's now got Gamora, and he's got Star-Lord right in front of him, and Gamora's telling Star-Lord, it's like, you promised me, you have to do this. And you really feel for Star-Lord here. I mean, you see it in his face. I mean, you know, his eyes are tearing up, he's crying, you know. He has to kill his girlfriend right now. I mean, the whole time, Thanos is just taunting Star-Lord like, oh, you're gonna kill her? Go ahead. Do it. You know, it's a really emotional moment. You know, Gamora's like, I love you, and Star-Lord's like, I love you too. And, you know, he closes his eyes, he pulls the trigger to his gun, but bubbles come out. And after that, yeah, you can tell Thanos is once again altering reality, and he just looks at Star-Lord and he's like, I like you. And then he just disappears with Gamora. And now it's really at this point we really start to learn a lot more about the character Thanos, and I really gotta touch on this right now. Josh Brolin absolutely crushed it as Thanos. I can honestly say right now, Thanos is by far and away the best villain we have gotten so far in the MCU. And I'm not necessarily saying that by default, because I know the MCU villains haven't always been that great. But really, Thanos was awesome in this movie. I mean, he was menacing, he was powerful, he was ruthless, but more than anything, you understood what his intentions were. Like, you saw where he was coming from. I mean, obviously you don't agree with his motives, but you understand why he has these motives. Thanos essentially feels that the universe is imbalanced, and that the only way to achieve true balance is for half of the universe to be just eliminated. You know, he's talking about that with Gamora. He brings up to her, he's like, look, when I first met you, when you were a very little girl, your planet was suffering. It was overpopulated. People were starving. People didn't have homes. I came down there and I eliminated half your people. What happened now? Now, people have full bellies, people have homes, your planet is thriving. He even brings up that on his own home planet, Titan, that his planet was suffering the same problems, you know, overpopulation. And he had proposed to the leaders of that world, hey, why don't we do this random lottery where half the people of our planet will just die. Our planet will get so much better. It will thrive. We'll be able to support it. But of course, his planet, Gamora, they all believe he's a madman because nobody feels that killing trillions of life in a universe is the right way to achieve balance. But even to Thanos' point, it's like, obviously his planet Titan, they didn't go along with his idea, and eventually his planet just died. He became the only survivor. He lost everything on his planet. So it's in that moment you see Thanos' motives, and ultimately you see in his perspective, he believes what he's doing isn't necessarily villainous. He sees the acts that he's doing as heroic, which I really feel works for this movie, because you look back on a lot of movies that have these villains, that have these antagonists. For the most part, these people, they don't necessarily see themselves as villains. They believe they are heroes. They believe what they are doing is for the right cause. And you could argue what they essentially hope to achieve isn't bad. What they want to do to achieve it, that's what's bad. That's what ultimately makes them the villain. I absolutely love that they did that with Thanos. It really did a lot for his character. But now it's at this point we discovered that the information that Gamora has that Thanos doesn't know about is she knows the location of the Soul Stone. Thanos has discovered that she knows this information, and he's prepared to get it out of her by torturing Nebula after Nebula had snuck aboard his ship trying to kill him. And Nebula, essentially being Gamora's sister, she doesn't want to see her suffer. She doesn't want to see her die. So Gamora's like, alright, I confess, I know where it is. So Thanos and Gamora, they travel to the planet Vormir, where the stone is being kept and essentially guarded by the spirit of the Red Skull. I want to say spirit anyway. I'm really not so sure if he's alive. I mean, it's been a long time since World War II. But I really did love that the movie included Red Skull in this movie, because a lot of fans have theorized, you know, since the first Avenger, you know, they were wondering, you know, when Red Skull touched the Tesseract and then disappeared, it was like, alright, did he die? Did he get transported into space? Apparently he got transported all the way up to a different planet. And now it's here, he reveals to Thanos, he reveals to Gamora that the only way the Soul Stone can be achieved, can be acquired, is someone has to sacrifice something that they love. love, essentially giving up a soul for a soul. And here Gamora thinks, you know, she's won, she's defeated Thanos because Thanos doesn't love anything, Thanos doesn't care about anything, so it's like, oh, you can't win here. But then quickly you see in Thanos, you see him crying, you see tears, and Red Skull reveals to Gamora, it's like, those aren't for him. Because you can't... Because you also remember, I mean, Gamora was someone that Thanos did raise as his daughter. She was always regarded as his favorite daughter. So Thanos grabs Gamora, he throws her over the edge, he kills her, and with that, the Soul Stone appears. He adds that to the gauntlet. It's like right there, you see how far Thanos is truly willing to go to acquire the pieces to the Infinity Gauntlet. You know, he will sacrifice those he essentially loves. So now we get back to Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. They're on that ship. Doctor Strange is being tortured to try to get the stone. Except in this moment, Iron Man and Spider-Man, they're able to outsmart the henchman that took Doctor Strange by opening a hole in his spaceship that sucks him out into space and kills him, while they're able to save Doctor Strange from going out into space and resealing the ship. And apparently this was Peter Parker's idea because he's a big movie nerd. That's why the kid's a fucking man. But yeah, along the way, they're trying to figure out how to get the ship back to Earth. Eventually, they run into the Guardians of the Galaxy, which consisted of, you know, Star-Lord, Drax, and Mantis. Nebula has been able to escape from Thanos, and, you know, she transmits a message to the Guardians telling them to meet them on what remains of Titan. So yeah, the Guardians, Nebula, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Spider-Man, they all meet up on Titan. But it's in this moment right here, once they get onto Titan, you see Doctor Strange, it kind of looks like he's having a seizure or whatever it is, but you discover that he just witnessed millions of different futures in regards to what's going on. And so in this moment, Tony Stark, he looks at Strange and he goes, how many of those futures have us winning? And Doctor Strange says to him, one. It's like, oh yeah, that really inspires confidence now, doesn't it? So now getting back to Thor, Groot, and Rocket, they've met up with the dwarf Eitri, who's this giant dwarf played by Peter Dinklage. How excited do you think Peter Dinklage was to play a giant being when he is, in real life, a little person? He probably jumped all over that. I would have anyway. But the reason Thor has come to Eitri is because Eitri was the one who created the Infinity Gauntlet for Thanos. So, you know, he would have something that would allow him to harness and control the power of the Infinity Stones. And now Thor's come to Eitri. It's like Thanos is out there, he's collecting the stones, he's gonna essentially wipe out half of the universe. I need you to help me create a weapon I can use to fight him. And Eitri tells Thor, it's like, we'd have to repower this dying star that was used to make Mjolnir, you know, Thor's old hammer. With that, we can create the Stormbreaker axe, a super powerful weapon. It would be able to kill Thanos, and this thing can summon the power of the Bifrost, so essentially, you know, Thor now has the power that Heimdall had. Unfortunately, they have to recharge a dying star, which is easier said than done. So Thor uses Rocket's space pod to create like enough momentum to really get the star going, get it recharged, get it, you know, capable of starting the process of making the axe. Unfortunately though, I guess the controls to the star eventually break down, they fall apart, they can't keep the mantle open for the star to power, you know, what is needed to make the axe. So Thor asks Eitri, it's like, wait, how long does the reactor have to be open for? How long will it take to make the axe? And Eitri's like, I don't know, maybe a few minutes. Why? And Thor decides, alright, I'm gonna hold that reactor open. And Eitri's like, no, that's a horrible idea. You're gonna take the entire force of a star to you. It will kill you. That's suicide. But look, Thor brings up, it's like, if we don't create this axe, Thanos is gonna kill me anyway. This is the best shot I have to defeat him. So yeah, Thor literally goes into the middle of the chamber, he holds it open, and you know, the star just, you know, fires its energy into this, you know, thing to make the axe. That's right, Thor took a fucking star burning to his entire body. I don't know how. And yes, I know Thor's a god, but come on, that's pretty insane. That's ridiculous. He took a fucking star to the chest. I'm really starting to think Thor just gets more and more powerful with every movie he's in. I think that's actually a theory now. So he's able to hold it long enough, the axe is created, Groot's able to create a handle with one of his twigs, and now it's about time to go to war. But yeah, now the Avengers on Earth, they've reunited with T'Challa. But yeah, now the Avengers on Earth, they've united with T'Challa and Wakanda. Steve Rogers has reunited with Bucky, who's now fully healed, has a brand new arm. So they bring Vision to Shuri, and Shuri reveals, yes, I can remove the stone, but this is going to take some time. Unfortunately, though, they don't have a lot of time on their hands because Thanos has essentially sent his entire army and his surviving henchmen into Wakanda to get the stone from Vision. So yeah, at this point, it's like, we have to protect Vision at all costs. We need Shuri to get the stone out of him, and the second the stone's out of him, Scarlet Witch is gonna destroy the stone. So yeah, the Avengers, Black Panther, Wakanda's army, they all go down onto the battlefield to take on Thanos' army. T'Challa arms Captain America with like these two shield claw looking things. Those things were awesome. Does have me wonder if we're gonna see the original shield again, maybe at some point. But yeah, obviously Wakanda has that big vibranium force field that's essentially protecting it, but essentially the army, Thanos' army, they're trying to get through, and you quickly see just how far they're willing to go for Thanos. I mean, the Wakanda army, they're looking at it, they're just like, they're killing themselves. I mean, Black Panther soon realizes like that force field isn't gonna hold, and even if it does, it's gonna cause Thanos' army to turn its attention elsewhere in the world. He's like, we have to keep the fight here. So he tells Shuri, it's like, lower the shields, let them come to us. So with that, the shields drop, Thanos' arm just comes bolting at the Avengers and the Wakandans. At this point, Black Panther just goes, Wakanda forever! And they just charge into fucking war. And yeah, was this battle awesome? Yeah, fuck yeah, it was. You have basically everyone right here. You got T'Challa, you got Captain America, Black Widow, War Machine, Falcon, Bruce Banner's piloting the Hulkbuster army because he just can't turn into the Hulk. You have literally everyone in Wakanda in on this fight. You even have M'Baku there. It's really cool to see. I feel like he and T'Challa have finally become friends, you know, or M'Baku has, you know, finally officially sworn his allegiance to T'Challa. And what makes this fight even more amazing is out of nowhere, you see the Stormbreaker axe just boomerang through and just kill so many members of Thanos' army, and you just see Thor, Groot, and Rocket, they all show up. Yeah, Thor takes the axe, he turns on his Thunder God mode from the end of Ragnarok that we saw, and he just kills so many fucking people with the axe. That axe was fucking awesome. That thing might actually be cooler than Mjolnir. But yeah, what I love about this final fight is it's a traditional Marvel end fight. I mean, it's epic, it's fun, it's exciting, it's humorous. It does everything you want it to do, and it's awesome. But yeah, on the other side, on Titan, we have obviously the group of the Avengers there, the Guardians that are there. They're preparing for Thanos because they know Thanos is coming for them to get the Time Stone. And through the Avengers all working together with all their different powers, their abilities, whatever, they're all able to hold down Thanos. So it gives Iron Man and Spider-Man the chance to get the gauntlet off of Thanos. But it's also right here, Mantis is sort of using her mind powers on Thanos, and she, you know, she's reading his thoughts, his emotions, and she's like, oh, he feels lost, he mourns. And it's very quickly, Star-Lord, he starts to piece it together a little bit. He's like, wait a minute, Thanos came back here with the Soul Stone. Gamora didn't come back with him. So very quickly, everyone's able to put two and two together, and even Thanos reveals, it's like, yeah, I killed her to get the Soul Stone. And yeah, you see it in Quill. He's heated, he's furious, he's ready. He just wants to kill Thanos right now. He doesn't give a fuck about this plan anymore. But yo, Tony, he's pleading with Quill. It's like, dude, you gotta calm down, you gotta relax. We almost got the gauntlet off. Once we get this off, we can beat him. And just as they're about to get it off, yo, Peter Quill, he explodes. He just lashes out on Thanos. He just starts punching him in the face with his gun. He's trying to kill him. He doesn't care about this plan anymore. He wants to fuck this guy over for killing his girl. I know a lot of people want to give Star-Lord a lot of shit for, you know, not staying by the plan, for acting too early. But personally, I don't really knock him too much for it. I mean, he just found out that this guy killed his girlfriend. I think most guys wouldn't really be able to contain themselves. I wouldn't be able to anyway. I probably would have done what he did. But yeah, it's right here. Through the power of the gauntlet, through his own power, Thanos is just able to beat these Avengers, you know, and it's at a point he stabs Tony Stark, you know, he's prepared to kill him. But it's right here. Stephen Strange, he looks at Thanos, he's like, wait, spare Tony Stark, and I will give you the Time Stone. Thanos accepts the deal, he takes the Time Stone, and he leaves to go to Earth so he can get the final stone, the Mind Stone. But it's right after that happens, Tony looks at Doctor Strange and he's like, why did you just do that? And Doctor Strange, he looks at him, he's like, we're in the end game now. So it does have me wondering if maybe during the vision he had of the one where the Avengers did win, maybe he saw a vision, like maybe that was part of it. Maybe he had to give him the stone in order for the Avengers to win. Maybe that's part of the future he saw. But now it's around this time, Thanos' army is starting to overwhelm the heroes in Wakanda. They're starting to make their way closer to Vision. Reach the point, Vision's like, yeah, I can't rest here on this table anymore. This isn't getting done. I'm gonna have to just take action. So he joins the fight. And, you know, he meets up with Scarlet Witch. She had joined the battle as well. And he tells her, it's like, look, there's no time. We can't wait to do this a safe way. you're just gonna have to destroy it. But she's like, I don't want to destroy it. It will kill you. And Vision's like, this is for the greater good. This is for the sake of the universe. You have to do this. I'm not worth sparing just so the whole universe could eventually suffer. So it's right around this time, you know, Wanda's using her, you know, telekinetic powers to destroy the stone that's in Vision. But it's also right here, Thanos has made his way to Earth, and, you know, he's now, you know, fighting his way through the heroes that are there. So now it's basically Thanos trying to make his way over to Vision, but Wanda's trying to use her telekinetic powers to stop him from getting to them. The stone's just about to break, and it's at this point Vision says to Wanda, I love you, and then, yeah, she destroys the Mind Stone. Vision's dead. And the stone's gone. As right here, Wanda tells Thanos, it's like, it's over, you've lost, it's done. You won't be able to complete the gauntlet now. It's finished. Except unfortunately, now Thanos has the Time Stone from Doctor Strange, and so he just uses the Time Stone to reverse time just for a few seconds so Vision can be back. To which he proceeds to just rip the stone out of Vision's forehead, kill him that way, and now he's able to complete the gauntlet. However, it's right as he completes the gauntlet, Thor just charges into battle, he takes the axe, and he stabs Thanos into the chest with it. So it's right there, I'm thinking, is it over? Did they beat him? Is Thanos dead? Did they stop him? But no, apparently that wasn't enough, and Thanos even looks at Thor and he says, you should have gone for the head. And then snaps his fingers, the Infinity Gauntlet now looks like it's fried, like its circuitry is just destroyed or whatever it is. Thanos still uses one of the stones, the Space Stone, to get away, to disappear to this other planet. And meanwhile, we begin to see everything else happen, everything unfold. Out of nowhere, a bunch of the heroes just start to disappear. Bucky disappears, T'Challa disappears, Groot disappears. I mean, on the other planets, Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, Doctor Strange, they all disappear. And then there's that one moment that really hits me. Spider-Man, he's starting to vanish. You know, he just latches on to Tony Stark. He's crying, he's freaking out. He's like pleading with Tony Stark, like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I'm scared, I don't want this to happen to me. And then eventually, Peter Parker, he vanishes. I almost thought I was gonna cry in that moment, man. It's just, right here just shows how great Tom Holland is at being Peter Parker, because you see the kid in him. Moment really hit me where I live. It's not just because Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, it's where I give Tom Holland further props for being the great actor that he is. So now, it's at this point, the only survivors, I want to say, are Tony Stark and Nebula on Titan, and then on Earth, you have Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Rocket, a few members of the Wakandan army, including M'Baku, I believe, who else? War Machine's one of them. I could be missing a couple others here and there, but I think that's the gist of it. And with that, the final scene before the credits anyway, you just see Thanos just sitting there looking at a sunset. He's got a very satisfied look on his face, like, I did it, I accomplished it, the universe is balanced. And then the movie ends. Yeah, complete and total cliffhanger ending, because, you know, Thanos is now on the highest high, and the Avengers, they're at their lowest low right now. Half of them have disappeared. We don't really know if they're coming back. I mean, they're probably coming back. I know there's gonna be another Spider-Man movie and Guardians movie after Phase 3. I imagine there will probably also be a sequel to Black Panther because of how successful that was. So I imagine the fourth movie will revolve around the heroes trying to get those who disappeared back, maybe trying to find a way to reverse the effects of the Infinity Gauntlet. I will say I do, however, like that the original four didn't disappear. You know, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Captain America, they're all still there. None of them vanished. I don't know, I personally feel that since they're the original four that started this franchise, essentially, the four of them should at least not disappear. So yeah, we do get one post-credit scene. Strange enough, we didn't get multiple. I thought we were gonna get maybe like 3 of them, honestly. But no, in the post-credit scene, we see Nick Fury and Agent Hill. You know, they're driving through New York City, they crash, and they soon discover that people are disappearing. You know, they see choppers crashing, cars crashing. Agent Hill, she all of a sudden vanishes in front of Nick Fury, and Nick Fury's like, oh shit, I gotta do something. So he's able to transmit this distress signal on this device he has, but then he disappears. I do think it's very fitting, though, for Nick Fury being played by Samuel L. Jackson. Just as he disappears, he was gonna say motherfucker. However, they also cut it off before motherfucker, you know, finishes, because, you know, this is a PG-13 movie. Kids are gonna be seeing this movie. But just as he disappears, we see his device, we see the signal that it was transmitting, and we see the insignia for Captain Marvel, which now has me very excited for the Captain Marvel movie next year. Apparently, whatever happens in her storyline, I guess, maybe plays into Thanos. I'm sure she's going to be in Avengers 4. They have confirmed she's going to be, so I'm excited for the role that she'll play. I just can't wait to see what Brie Larson does as Captain Marvel. I really think she's gonna crush it. So that right there is where Avengers Infinity War ends. So all in all, I thought Avengers Infinity War was fucking awesome. I mean, I loved all these cast members in the movies they were beforehand, whether it was their own, whether it was previous Avengers movies. They all continue to do great here. I loved seeing the chemistry between some of the characters that hadn't worked with each other before. I really thought everyone did great working with each other. There really was nowhere that I didn't buy chemistry. Everyone was really working well together. I loved seeing that in this movie. Josh Brolin absolutely crushed it as Thanos. Thanos, best villain we've gotten in the MCU to date. I love seeing all these stories and all these characters from all these Marvel movies finally coming together. I love learning more about the Infinity Stones themselves. I loved seeing what Thanos was capable of doing. The action scenes are so much fun. The fight scenes when they go down, they're so exciting. Visually, the movie looks great. It has that Marvel humor that I love. I will say the one flaw that I have with this movie is I do wish some characters got a little bit more screen time. I mean, granted, I understand there are a lot of characters in this movie. And, you know, the Russo brothers, they probably realize, like, you know, they can only give so many characters so much screen time. I completely understand that. And for the most part, I felt they did a good job with that. I mean, the movie's around 2.5 hours long, so they made it so they could probably give as much screen time to characters as they could. But there were just some characters I wish got a little bit more screen time. I wish we got a little more of Bucky. I wish we got a little more of Black Panther. I wish we got a little more of Black Widow. I also think we should have gotten a little bit more of Captain America. I mean, granted, the Russo brothers are probably thinking like, if we're gonna give everyone a fair amount of screen time, the movie's probably gonna be like 3 hours long, maybe even longer than that. And yeah, I get it, the general audience, they probably wouldn't have been okay with that, but I mean, I would have been down for that. In fact, I would probably love that. I loved and I hated that it ended on a cliffhanger because now it's got us all, you know, asking a bunch of questions for the next year. But in the end, this movie lived up to its absurd amount of hype. It met, if not surpassed, the expectations I had for it. I absolutely loved this movie and I cannot wait for Avengers 4. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe. I will see you all next time.